Hi, it's time for another Steven Universe review. It's a twofer. We're going to be going over Back to the Kindergarten, and we're going to be going over Sadie Killer. Now, I'm not going to explain why these episodes are related just yet. I'll explain it at the end of the video, but I think it's important that I keep them together and review them together. This is Nick's Nerd Network, and I'm Nick. So, Peridot's still depressed about Lapis's departure. She's laying around listening to country music in Steven's bathroom, and she's really isolating herself. Steven and Amethyst want to cheer her up, and they want to make her feel better. So they decide to take her to the Prime Kindergarten, which was a huge part of Peridot's role on Homeworld, to try to make her feel better and help her feel more connected to her past. They get there, Amethyst is going around to all the different holes and expressing how now that she's met some of her family, this place means so much more to her. It doesn't feel like a big empty place. It feels like a full family space of memories, and it's changed her outlook now that she's met her family. Peridot starts to express that she feels so upset because a place like this is so absent of life. She thought for so long working for kindergartens that she was creating life and she was making the world a better place, but in reality she was damaging the world and sucking the life out of it. They then decide that she needs to find a way to make things better. She notices that there's a plant growing in the soil and it appears to be healthy and strong, which is surprising. They thought that nothing could grow here. So with this newfound hope, they decide that they're going to make this kindergarten a better place by planting lots of plants and flowers and things. They're satisfied with their work. Peridot's really starting to feel better. She's starting to find renewed hope. They go home for the night. They come back the next day to check on how things are going, to plant more plants. And Peridot is devastated to see that all of the plants that she planted have all died. It's almost as if the ground just sucked the life out of the plants. So she's back to feeling hopeless again. She starts to take her anger out on Steven and Amethyst, exclaiming that there's no hope left. Why should anyone have hope? Everything's going to let her down. She sees the original flower that's still alive that she saw earlier in the episode, and she says that this flower needs to get with the program and stop trying to hope and hope for a better future, that everything's going to die, it's going to die, and it should just give up, and she stamps on it. Now, when she does this, they realize that that plant was connected to a corrupted gem. The gem comes out of the ground, starts attacking them. Steven and Amethyst have to fuse to make Smoky Quartz. I'm so glad to see Smoky Quartz again because she is one of my favorite fusions. They defeat the gem. The gem poofs. They bubble it, send it away. Peridot's still feeling down. She feels as though she's been tricked. She feels as though all of this was for nothing. But Steven and Amethyst explain to her that even though this small part of the world is not going to show signs of life again, they're not going to be able to fix this one small part, and that people make mistakes, that it's still an entire world that's 99.9% life and beauty and thriving living creatures and plants and things that she can still protect, take care of, and do all the things that she likes without worrying about this small portion, because everyone makes mistakes, and it's just a reminder of a mistake that was made by Homeworld. Peridot starts to feel better. She goes home. She has a renewed sense of self-worth, and she's motivated, and she has an outlet now. She wants to get back into farming and gardening. So Steven is on a donut run for the cool kids, and he runs into Sadie at the donut shop. He starts talking to her, and he sees that she's not feeling well. She's tired. She's exhausted. She's been working too hard. She's upset about Lars. And Steven then says that, you know what, you should come and join us. We're going to have band practice. It's going to be a fun time. When you're done with work, come after. Sadie seems somewhat apprehensive. She says she's really busy. She doesn't know if she'll have time, but she says maybe. Later on in the night, Steven's practicing with the cool kids. They're trying to develop the sound for their band. Sadie shows up, and they're already done for the day. Sadie missed out on everything, and the cool kids are going home for the night. Steven sees this and sees how disappointed that Sadie is. So the next day, he brings the cool kids to her. She's on her way home from work. They follow her back to her house and surprise her with this. Now, Sadie is glad to be hanging out with them, and she's glad to have the chance to have fun, but she's also nervous because, yes, she's hung out with them before and they've gotten along, but she hasn't really shared her whole self with them. So she runs around her bedroom, she's trying to hide things, she hides all of her monster movies, but the cool kids find them and they say, you know what? That's really cool. We're all interested in those monster movies and old scary movies as well. She realizes that she has a lot more in common with them than she originally thought. So they start watching one of the movies and they get inspired by one of the movie's music in the background to make a song of their own. They all start playing their instruments and Sadie really takes the lead on vocals, coming up with a song that's expressing everything she's been feeling. Her frustrations with her job, her frustrations with feeling like an adult all the time, not having time to have fun or mourn over her lost friend. And it's honestly probably one of my favorite songs. I thought it was incredibly clever and it was overall great. They all agree that it's a great song. They're excited to play it for their playlist on the gig that they have coming up. They all depart. Steven meets with Sadie later at the donut shop, and she's saying how she doesn't think she can be involved with the band. She has too much work. She won't be able to make it to the concert, and she's just really sad. And she's been funneling all of her frustrations into that song, and she just wants to be happy, and she doesn't feel that she can be happy anymore. They cut back to Steven and the cool kids getting ready to leave. They're packing up the car, and they have to stop to look at the map. Sadie starts running down the street, catches up to them and says, hey, I quit my job. I'm ready to come with you. I'm ready to have fun and be a kid again. So this is huge for Sadie. She's always been the adult. She's always been so responsible and putting her job ahead of everything else. Whether it was when Lars was working with her, she took on most of the responsibilities or just anything. And she's always been the adult. She's always been the adult with Steven, her friends. But now she finally has the chance to cut loose and be a kid and have fun and develop a hobby that can take her mind off of everything that's been going on. So now we're down 2 employees at the donut shop. So I promised I would explain what these 2 episodes have in common. So Peridot and Sadie are both suffering from a lot of loss right now. Peridot lost her home and her best friend. Sadie lost her best friend and her sense of like being a child and having a childhood and having fun. They're both mourning in these scenarios and they're both they've given up. They don't feel the need to try to make things better for themselves because they're so overwhelmed. Steven helps them both find an outlet. For Sadie, the outlet was working with the band and hanging out with the cool kids. For Peridot, it's taking care of the earth and planting new things and just trying to explore some of her new talents and interests. Stevens helped them both make the needed changes in their lives to be happier. Now, I think the most important thing that I love about these 2 episodes together is it's showing that a human, Sadie, and Peridot, a gem, are going through similar things. If they had met in these episodes, they could have really empathized with one another and helped each other out. And I think that's so important to show because for so long in the show, the gems have been very separate from the human interactions. It's usually just Steven and the other townspeople or Steven and the gems. So to see how relatable they are to one another, I think that is going to bode well for Beach City and collaborating more with the Crystal Gems and being more diplomatic with one another and really welcoming them into their community. Peridot and Sadie had so much in common in this episode. That's really all I had to say on this episode. Both of these episodes. These episodes were great. I loved it. I love seeing Peridot develop. She's one of my favorite characters. And in terms of town characters, Sadie's another one of my favorites. So I'm so happy to see that they're going to be happier. This is all for this episode. This is Nick signing off. If you like this episode of Nick's Nerd Network, please like and subscribe. If you have different opinions or would like to share some of your ideas, please share these in the comment section below. Please keep it constructive and friendly. Thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful day.